supernatural, the metaphysical, the paranormal stuff.
Right.
You never would have moved into a crime scene if you did.
I didn't want to move here.
The new story I'm writing is you.
Is the story a good one this time?
I'm gonna write the best book that anybody's ever read. I got a really good feeling about this. You gotta be kidding me. Family hanging out. Barbecue 79. That's the family who lived here.
You think these are serial murders?
I don't know. First one I found dates back to the 60s. The only link between all these cases is the symbol.
The symbol is associated with a pagan deity named Bagul. He consumes the souls of human children.
I've never been onto something this big before.
Children exposed to the images were especially vulnerable to Bagul's abduction.
Sweetheart, what are you doing?
Painting. I wanted to paint her picture.
Who are you talking about?
Stephanie. She used to live here.
Trevor?
Yes, he doesn't believe in the supernatural. Do you? Do you? This is Will, this is Sci-Fi Guy, and tonight it's Horror Guy. It's the horror of it all. When we analyze, when we discuss, when we name what an official study has named the scariest movie of all time, Sinister. Amazing how time flies. This movie is 10 years old, released in 2012. And I remember renting it and loving it and thinking it was really damn scary. Scariest of all time? Most frightening film ever? I would disagree, but I would definitely put this on a top scare fair, a top fright film fest, that's for sure. Now, the great Ethan Hawke stars, as I like to call him, Hawkman. I wonder if he reads or listens to the podcast and, sees me calling him Hawkman. You might get a kick out of it, but he's the star, and he really is becoming like a new Vincent Price. He has starred in 7 horror films, most recently The Black Phone, which is on my watch list. It looks excellent. You can see that on Peacock, and I have it all queued up and saved, so I'll be watching that fairly soon. Now, of course, we have the classic horror, like the Universal Monsters, back from the 30s and 40s. We have, of course, Psycho, one of my favorites, 1960, Alfred Hitchcock, still one of the best, still one of the most powerful, right up to more modern classics like Halloween, the Halloween series, the classics, John Carpenter, and now the remakes or the redos or the sequels of Halloweens. There's so many I've lost tracks. Rob Zombie, and now the final one is coming soon. And I believe it's coming on Peacock, I guess right in time for Halloween, the holiday. We'll see what might be the last Halloween, though they've said that before, and of course, Michael Myers always finds a way to come back. What's really interesting about the this official sort of scariest of all time, namely Sinister, is it was not a poll, not a voting of fans saying, "Oh, Exorcist" or "Night of the Living Dead" or "The Haunting," or "Psycho" or "Halloween" or "Phantasm." And Phantasm's definitely one of my favorites, and I think not only one of the scariest, but one of the sort of the coolest and most thought-provoking sci-fi horror movies. But Sinister got its title, its number one scariest, from a scientific study. They hooked up people to heart rate monitors to monitor their, cardiac and breathing and such, and Sinister beat all the others. In fact, I'm pretty sure it beat the classics too, like, say, Universal Monsters or Psycho or classic Exorcist such. It was far and above the quote unquote scariest in terms of how it affected people physically. And as I said, I remember when it came out, I loved it. It was great. I rented it, and I've always loved Ethan Hawke's films. I think his agent, his manager, or just himself, he picks great scripts, great projects. They're always great films. They're always so satisfying, enjoyable, and he always does a great performance. So now, Sinister from 2012. The summary: a novelist and his family becomes the target of a supernatural entity when he uses found footage to unravel the murders of his home's previous occupants. So something we've seen many times before. A family moves into a new house. In fact, man, I would say that's the majority of haunted house movies, ghost stories and such. And but of course, in this case, it's a home where people were murdered. Many people were murdered. And Ethan's character finds, the found footage. So this is, I guess, technically also a found footage film, which I don't usually enjoy, but it incorporates so well with the main story. And also, the found footage isn't sort of, digital clips or such. It's their actual films, old film stock, and he has to look at them on a projector. So it really integrates well into the story instead of sort of like Blair Witch or something where you see these grainy, haphazard like camcorder scenes. Now, I stumbled onto this article entitled, "What is the Scariest Movie Ever? Science Now Has Answer to That Question." And this is on the Forbes.com website and contributor Travis Bean. And he talks about, how many fan favorites and such. He says, obviously, this is a subjective argument about what is truly the scariest movie ever. Well, Broadband Choices, a comparison tool for broadband deals, might just have the answer. The platform performed what is called the Science of Scare project, during which they tracked the heart rates of 50 people of a variety of ages who watched over 100 hours of scary movies. After all the tracking, Broadband Choices narrowed down a list of what is scientifically believed to be the scariest 35 movies ever made. And once again, Sinister came in number one. Daniel Clifford, who created the study, says that with more people than ever facing a Halloween at home, our Science of Scare study was designed to help people find the most scientifically scary films ever made. Excuse me. So, the results of the study: according to the heart rates of participants, no movie scared people more than Sinister, a 2012 horror thriller that stars Ethan Hawke as a true crime writer who investigates a string of grisly family murders. And if you're curious about the other movies that made the list, Sinister, number one; Insidious was number two; The Conjuring, Hereditary, Paranormal Activity, It Follows, The Conjuring 2, The Babadook, that's a great one from Australia, The Babadook, The Descent, and The Visit. And both great as well. All good. And what's interesting is some other findings from the study. James Wan was dubbed the King of Horror, as Wan was at the helm of 3 different scary movies that ranked in the top 10. And James Wan also directs superhero movies. He directed Aquaman. And another interesting little factoid here: modern horror movies perform much better than classics. While movies like The Exorcist, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or Nightmare on Elm Street might be considered better, quote, horror movies, they didn't scare study participants nearly as much as the modern flicks did. And this is great. Some of the really bottom ones, but still highly rated, was The Grudge, The Witch, one of my favorites, The Witch, The Blair Witch Project, Alien, The Thing, Poltergeist, Annabelle, Friday the 13th, The Orphanage, Dark Skies, that's on my watch list, I have to watch that, Wolf Creek, The Omen, The Shining, one of my all-time favorites, Get Out, and Audition. Now again, keep in mind, everyone has different likes and rankings and reasons why something could be scary. While you think, perhaps something like Psycho is too old or too slow-paced, I think it still packs such a a wallop and a punch. Of course, the surprise factor, I've seen it dozens of times, so I know exactly what's going to go down. But in terms of the technique that Hitchcock and, really talented filmmakers use, one of the things that strikes me with Sinister is the music, the sound effects, the sound and the music. There's 2 or 3 segments where he's viewing footage, the found footage of these murders. And, the visuals are scary enough. And then the eerie, just other kind of dimensional, worldly music. And then just sound effects that I can't place. But whatever they used with those sound engineers, they're amazing. They're so effective. So, Halloween is coming up pretty soon. And if you like me, you'll have all your, classics queued up. Psycho, The Fog, Halloween. Most of the John Carpenter movies. I know my buddy out there, Adam, he's a big John Carpenter fan as well. And, those are the must-sees. But Sinister is a modern classic, or certainly it's becoming that. And I'm going to rewatch it tonight because I haven't seen it in a long time, and I hope I find it just as disturbing. Take a chance. Go watch Ethan Hawke in Sinister. Hope you're subscribing to Sci-Fi Guy and Horror of It All. If not, you can do so. Freebie. Or the $4.99, the paid people. You get some goodies. You get some fun stuff that the freebies do not. Either way, we appreciate the subscription. We appreciate the feedback. Go watch some scary movies, including Sinister, and we'll see you soon.